when you guys were talking about the phones, there's always been like that theory that once Apple comes out with the new phone, they start fucking with your old one.
Right.
But you had an interesting perspective on it. You were like, the battery, it was something about like the CPU
Yes.
is gonna falter if you don't.
Every one of these crazy headlines always has both sides, and it's so easy to just look at our side, which is new phone comes out, two new phones come out, my shit gets slower. That's dumb. Okay, the other side is Apple wants, theoretically, and you have to hear this out from like in good faith. Apple realizes that they want to make great phones, and these batteries are not that amazing that they can hold the same voltage for years and years and years. Voltage down the CPU a little bit so that the battery can keep giving you all-day battery life, but the CPU is a little slower. But now you still have all-day battery on a 2-year-old phone.
Because they figure you would rather more battery
than a slightly faster 2-year-old phone.
Now, what happens when it feels like the battery's also going away?
It will, and then your phone just feels old. And then you hopefully, so the idea is like, get a new battery, not a whole new phone. If you need a new CPU, that's way different from just replacing the battery. So just get a new battery, it'll feel like a new phone, maybe it'll start pushing the same voltages as when it was brand new. It'll be a fast phone again. But Apple's not telling people that. So you hear the other side, which is the headline, which is, yes, your phone is actually slower. And that sucks.
Now, what is your beef with Apple? I'm getting blasted with green text every time we talk.
That's funny. My gosh, that's not beef, that's just my current daily driver preference. I carry 2 phones, by the way. Android phone, iPhone. The thing is, I test and I use tons of phones. And in order to be familiar with Android's ecosystem, I'm constantly testing a bunch of different Android phones. New iPhone comes out. If I haven't used an iPhone in a year, it's kind of hard to remember and test and get that context because it's a very different world. So I'm also always using an iPhone. I have these phones on and on. Oh, I scratched it. On and using them all the time. And so when the new iPhone comes out, that's in my pocket. When a new Android phone comes out, that's in my pocket. So
now,
right
what's better?
So my primary phone number is the Android SIM because I pop the SIM card out and move it between a bunch of different phones. And then I also have a secondary SIM card that most people don't have this number, but it's a full SIM card, and it's also a fully working iPhone.
Which one got the dating apps, bro? Which one got the hoes in it?
This one is all my contacts. But the family FaceTime, the iMessage, the people who get mad about the green bubbles, I guess I'll give you the other number if you really want it. It's like FaceTime or something that I can only do with iMessage. I'd be like, all right, well, that's
smart. So that's the
so
move.
you lead with that, then you get the blue bubble. But most people don't.
Do you think that was one of the smartest things that Apple ever did?
It's definitely one of the most valuable things to them right now. For sure.
But don't they always do that? Don't they always do these little things to like create other to protect their brand?
They know it's powerful. It's like you've heard about this bullying that like kids these days have to have in America. I should specify because people watch these videos and I talk about this all the time. In other countries, this is not nearly as much of a thing. But in the US, where 90% of kids, their first phone is an iPhone and they grow up with the iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, you will get bullied for it. And you will be excluded from group chats. And you will get the message about how you don't have a green bubble.
I'd never do that.
And that's rough.
That was the first thing I said to you.
That's the first thing you said.
Hey, it's Marques Brownlee. I was like, the fuck is this green shit?
You put in your special.
That's true. That's true.
WhatsApp is way bigger than iMessage in all these other countries. So iMessage is like, it would be nice if people used it, but like people just use WhatsApp, period.
Exactly. So
but that WhatsApp shit is wild annoying.
It's like there's 5 or 6 different apps now because if you talk to somebody in WhatsApp land and you talk to somebody in text message land, you have an iMessage person, there's just like 7 or 8 apps you could use to talk to people, which is annoying. And then Google will make 3 or 4 more just because that's what they do all the time. It's Apple to have a headset in the next year. I think we're going to see that.
And they're great at hardware.
Apple's great at hardware, and they're great at ecosystem. So you better believe they're worried about, like, everyone who has an iPhone is going to want the Apple headset, not the other headset. And Apple, just like they do with the bubbles, there will be Apple's headset and the others. Right? That's a thing you can expect. We talk about this all the time, the ecosystem and the walls that they build, the figurative walls, that's iMessage, FaceTime, all that
charger,
stuff.
right? It's like you have an Apple charger.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a couple companies close that are about to do some stuff, but Meta is the one that's, like, at the top of the mountain yelling about the future that we all see. So, USB-C port on the new iPad.
I was watching this video.
And it's like, what's the public-facing reason? Oh, well, it's a better port, right? Of course. And you're like, why didn't you put it on the iPhone? And then their corporate behind-the-scenes reason.
You were salty about this, seriously, bro. The video, the one freeze frame you got with the fucking cord hanging over the...
Dude, that's how people have to charge it now. It's insane. So that's like these companies sort of always act in their own self-interest, at least in the US, and that's how you have to understand the decisions they make.
So what was the real reason Apple wanted to do that?
They just decided they wanted to charge $450 for an iPad that doesn't deserve to charge that much for it. So they're doing a bunch of things behind the scenes. Obviously, the new port, the new chip, the new color. It's like a slightly updated design. 10 years ago, when we got the first really good smartphones, the difference between the iPhone 4S and the iPhone 5 was massive.
Right.
Like a lot of these things were relatively significant, monumental updates.
Yeah.
3S to 4, FaceTime, crazy.
Yeah, huge features.
Yeah.
And now, smartphones, enough billions of dollars have been poured in that like we've arrived at a pretty great form factor.
Yep.
And at this point, they're differentiating themselves by like priorities and decisions. Oh, this one's got the big battery. Oh, this one's got 6 cameras on the back or whatever. So I think you're not going to see probably ever again a massive leap in specifically smartphones.
So the thing that's interesting about when that FaceTime came out, if you didn't have someone try to FaceTime you, that shit wouldn't go through.
Yeah.
You felt poor, bro. You know, they made you feel away. And I think that's a great point is like adding a 4th camera on the back.
Make it square.
Like,
Yeah, they
Apple's-
went rounded, square. It's like they're
there's
running out
one
of...
that was like rubber and then the one that was metal. Like the S
Yeah.
or some
They're
shit
really
like
good
that,
at this.
like
So
cheaper.
Apple is good at this, and a lot of other companies try to do this. And I almost made a video about this. I don't know how to frame it yet, but like they create these ladders where like you get the baseline product, and it's good enough for 90-something% of people, and that's probably the one you should get. But then if you turn to the side a little bit, there'll be one that's a little bit shinier, that is a little bit more expensive.
iPhone versus
like-
iPhone Pro.
Yeah, or even like the iPad lineup right now is a $330 iPad, and then a $450 iPad that has, you know, a nicer design, square. It's got USB-C, better screen, a little bit bigger screen. Okay, I could get this one. Okay, now the iPad Air is 64 gigs. Then you're like, okay,
Holy
I updated
shit.
to get more storage. Now the updated iPad Air is 700. Suddenly you're spending. So they just slowly walk you up the ladder,
It's
one at a time.
It's
They're like
soda
car
and
dealers.
popcorn at the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Little
It's like-
add-ons. Would you like X with that? Would you like Y with that? Would you like Z with that? If you're paying that much, you should just
Might
get
as
the
well.
bigger thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.